The 7th day of April 2025. What a beautiful day it is here still. The birds are beginning to breed. Last night the foxes were mating around here. You want to hear them. And the noise of them barking to each other and looking for mates and everything. So there is not that much wildlife as there used to be, but there's still quite a bit. And hopefully we'll see more. And I have ducks, wild mallard in their local river. And I'm putting out a little bit of meal for them there, just a nice little bit to entice them to lay in nests. The problem is the foxes will probably want to sniff them out, and this is the problem. I'm trying to see could I get over that some way, but anyway, usually the way they sort it out is they hatch in the river bank where the fox has to go up the river to get in. That's usually what happens. Anyway, enough said on that. Now, events. Stock markets have fallen all over the world. The stock markets are the value of the companies of the world. They're a measure of the value of a company. But they are dependent a bit on sentiment. Some people have an inside track. If you play the stock market, you'll get it hard enough to make money. The problem is that if you're an Irish TD, let's say, and you're making laws to suit companies, they'll tip you off when they have some new product or something coming out or some new report that's going to cause the stock to increase. And you can buy in low and then you have a more valuable stock. You can't do that. It's the same as the horse racing. I've told you before, on Easter Tuesday, many years ago, I helped a man to park who was in a desperate way to get in to the races to put on a bet on the totalizer. And he gave me the winners of nearly all the races after. And he explained to me that one horse would lose, and the reason of that was to stop the tote and the bookies losing on accumulators. In other words, if I bet on all 7 horses he gave me for the rest of that day, only €10, it could amount to a big amount of money. But if one lost, that meant that broke the chain and you didn't get anything. So they had it all rigged. The races and Fairyhouse on Easter Tuesday were rigged, and I actually bet according to what I was told, just because I helped a man get parking space who I knew was up to something, and that was the situation. Now, enough said about that, but yeah, a lot of people make their money doing finance. It's not all rigged either. I mean, if you're paying into a pension fund, they're probably investing that in various investment houses. And the whole thing, I'm trying to stop them investing it in green energy, which I know will lose. So just to tell you on that, what's that there? Oh, it's a bit of stuff off the tree. Greencoat Renewables is at 70 this morning. It never was that low. So if you bought those shares at a €1 a piece, they're only 70 cents today. They're collapsing, and there's no return for them in any real sense unless some idiot comes along and pumps money in. Wind farms lose money big time, and that's the way it is. They're all insolvent. Now, Trump is on an airplane. I seen him there a while ago on YouTube, and he's on an airplane, and he says, not alone, he says, it's the EU going to knuckle down. He says, the European Union owes us money for what they robbed of us before, and we want that money. And we want money off them for the imbalance in our trade going forward. So he's not giving in. Now, every country almost in the world has seen a drop in their stock, and a lot of them are realising that this is not good. So now what they're doing is they're starting to negotiate. Netanyahu of Israel, of course he's over there. Australia has said they'll have a word. India send over a team straight away for negotiations. Singapore doing it. Malaysia is doing it. I can't think. There's a good few of them there anyway. But I think Canada has already said it'll talk. So they're going to have trade. What Trump has done, he set up the whole thing. Now we're ready to get down to business and get this straightened out. And I'd say they'll find he'll be more than fair. Now, there's fierce criticism here. You want to hear them talking about him in Ireland. Oh, he's a monster. Oh, he's a negat. He's a jackass. He's this and that and the other. Just because he looks after his own country. He looks after his own country first and puts his own country first. I remember years ago, the Russian Soviet Union collapsed. They never made any fuss of Gorbachev, and they should have helped him. They didn't. They set about to destroy his country and almost did it had Putin not come in. Anyway, the European Union decided there was hunger in Moscow and that to buy beef to send over. And it had to be put in big tins, big large tins, Irish beef. I know, European beef, they selected Ireland. They gave 20 million to a few meat plants in Ireland way back then when that was worth 50 million, maybe 60 now. And they canned the beef, but it was tripe and offal and dirt and old gizzards and hearts and bits of tails and oxtails. And when the people in Russia opened it, it was inedible. It was smelly and gone off. It was even canned rotten, and it doesn't rot once it's put in the can. So that's what the Irish did. It was done by the Irish meat plants. They paid no price for it. There was no charges. There was nothing. So I was in the pub one time after the mart. We had a great sale away back, and we're buying a few cattle, and we had a few drinks. And I said, isn't that terrible for the Irish to cheat the Russians and cheat the EU and not give the people of Russia a little bit of decent beef? Let them have a bit of our beef and let it do them good. And it'd be good for our image and everything. And the general view of everybody was, what do we owe the Russians? We owe them nothing. To hell with them. Good enough for them. In other words, grab the money off the EU and let the consumer hump off. And that amazed me. That was the view of everybody. To this very day, 18 out of 20 Irish people believe that. So it's grab all we can. There's a greed of death on the Irish. I worked with them, and I was in the Gardaí, the Irish police force, and some of those people were as honest and decent as ever you'd see. But by golly, there was some of them. And the greed of death was on them. The greed. Oh, for €2. And in a way, you can't blame the government for printing money and destroying the value of the money, because they hoarded up. They hoarded. I knew one retired guard who lived alone. His wife was dead, and he wouldn't feed himself. He had to be brought into the hospital to feed himself. So that's a generalization, and they're not all like that. I can tell you they're certainly not all like that. I'm not like that, and a lot of my retired colleagues, but I never meet them now anyway, are not like that. But that's the thing about it. But the ordinary general Irish person and some of the farmers and the workers, they have their confirmation money. They wouldn't spend anything. They're mean and hard mean, and they have no sense of fair play. So you can't go by the Irish and their view of Trump. Oh, he'll start a war, he'll do this and that and the other. There's no war yet. He started a trade war. He's managing it. He has his teams ready. It looks to me like all of them are going to come on board, that Trump is seen as a real leader of his people. America, no country ever had a leader like that. The last time there was a leader might have been during the Second World War. Theodore Roosevelt was a sort of a leader of America. Churchill, for all you can say about him, he was a leader. And de Gaulle was a leader. And even in Ireland, our man Collins was killed. But De Valera was a sort of a leader. He wasn't up to much, but he was a bit better. Charles Lemass was a leader. Yeah, so that's the thing. But we hadn't any of that since. But Trump is nailing his colours up, and away he goes. And I recommend the Americans back him to the hilt. It'll be all right. He'll work it. But anyway, he says he's going to look for compensation from the Europeans for ripping him off. They've been imposing tariffs on his goods. Sure, we never see anything from America here. When did you ever see anything? I find it nearly impossible to buy anything from the Americans online. Now, they make some good enough products, and they make some great machine tools, but they're very expensive. You see, so that's the thing. Anyway, he's going to force them to cave in. Now, the Europeans, of course, are globalist, cultural Marxists, lefty, green, mad nuts, and now they're in a hobble. He could destroy them, bring down the European Union if they don't capitulate, and China is sticking to its guns. And that's what the standoff is going to be. So you're going to see every call. India, as I said, is meeting them. So you're going to see a standoff between China and Europe. And I would call them. The Europeans are thick-headed. Oh, they're thick-headed. So they might hang on a while. It's possible that it could destroy the EU. The EU is sucking off America. They're just saying, oh, America, give us your money. The same as the EU and the beef for Russia, Ireland. Get the money and to hell with everybody. So they're imposing huge tariffs. But Trump has tariffs on some countries that have no trade tariffs up, but they have imbalances, you see. The EU has a huge imbalance because it's not trading on equal terms with America. And China is the same. Now, of course, they may pull their bond holdings out of America, but we'll see. Nobody can predict this. I don't think there'll be a recession. I think they'll just print money. I think a pound of butter will be €20 in 2 years' time. I think it will. I think the value of money will go down. But if there's a seize up of all production and people stop buying, you then get deflation. And that's as bad where the value of money goes up. In other words, a pound of butter would only be 50 cents. Just be aware of that. Now, I can't give you the exact answer of that. Gold is and silver are holding well. They rose in line with the downturn of the stock market. And the old rule is that if the stock market goes down, gold goes down. That is what I want to see. I believe that will be seen to be broken. That as the stock market goes down, gold will increase slightly. But the stock markets could rally. They could rally. A quick dip wouldn't do them any harm. A quick dip and bring them down and cause a wee bit of unemployment might make them think what's good value and what isn't. For in Europe and in America during Biden and in England, the value of the assets of companies and the state means nothing. They just jack them up or stick a value on them and say, oh, we have billions in assets, when in fact what they have is no good. And the renewable energy is a classic example of that. So we'll see to be played for, but he's on a roll. The Donald's on a roll. And I have to say, you know, well, I have a weakness for him. I like him. Notre Dame. I think he's a leader. He is a leader. And I wish we had someone like him in the European Union. I wish we had someone like him in Britain. I wish we had someone like him in Ireland. But you see, unless we destroy the crowd we have, we never get anyone like that. That's enough, folks, for now. Comment underneath. The bold Donald, there's never a dull moment, and is he enjoying his job? It's going to be great. Going to be great fun. And also, can I just finish up here, folks? That Russia has is one of the Russian ministers there. He's the Russian. He's not the ambassador to America. He's something else. He's some kind of a man to America, some connection. And he came out yesterday and he says, we have to say that in Russia, we feel that Donald Trump is making a decent effort to try and solve Ukraine. He says that don't forget, we've already had an agreement, which the Ukrainians broke a little, but not too much, that we won't attack energy infrastructure. That's a start, he says. It's slow, it's taken time, but he says, don't underestimate what President Trump and President Putin are doing. So while all of this is going on, slowly but surely, a certain amount of confidence is being built up between America and Russia. It'll take time. It'll probably come good. It's hard to keep up with it all. I wish the peace negotiations really well. I absolutely love peace. So we'll see that, folks. We'll see you back. I hope I've helped you there a bit. I've given you a bit thing. Tack me there, all you lefties. Tell me I'm wrong. He's no leader. He's only an idiot. That's what they say. We have nobody like him anywhere in the world. He's the only real leader in the Western world, and maybe Putin is one in the Eastern world, and the communists in China, but the Donald's the only thing we have. And maybe it'll persuade people to see eventually, if he gets through this and it works out, that he will be seen as not what they're trying to paint him as at all. The French have tried to destroy Marine Le Pen. She was convicted of whole codology charges about EU money. She killed nobody or nothing like that. She's banned from politics. There's a huge outcry against it. Her popularity has increased. So that's the story. Christine Lagarde was convicted of crimes. In France, no remarks passed. Ursula von der Leyen, she's been involved in criminal activity as well. No remarks passed. It's selective decisions, and we need to break them unless we can break them. Now, I was talking to a man who knows a bit about economics this morning and all sorts of things, and he claims that he's done a lot of examination. He says the EU will never weather the next 2 years. Europe will collapse. It will come down. And I don't know how the EU is ever going to get its industry back again. It can't really be done. The damage to the industry is enormous. And then they're trying to convert the factories for making cars to making weapons and tanks and things. And they're never going to be used. They're never going to be fired at anyone. Sure, they all have nuclear weapons. They're not going to be fired at anybody. All Napoleon, Macron and all that. Look, that's not going to come to anything. And then when the money dries up for the weapons and the war kind of calms down, what are they going to have? They'll have nothing. At least Trump is trying to get back to ordinary commercial manufacturing, making tractors, farm implements, making cars and all of that. And we do have to ask the question, and please comment underneath. What do we see on sale here from America? What do we see? I've never seen a can of chemicals or anything from America. I buy specialized stuff from America, but it's a job to get it. It's a specialized thing, and they have to have an office. Generally speaking, unless they have an office in Britain, it's hard to get the specialized stuff. It's things for hardening steel and me hobbies and that, but it's also other stuff as well for doing things. But that's the way. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll see you back soon. Comment underneath. Goodbye. We'll get on with the work. Thank you very much.